What is up, my peepholes? This is your guy, Cly, and welcome to a celebration slash DIY slash cat being adorable because he loves head scritches video. If you haven't noticed, I've recently crossed 900 subscribers, and they don't seem to be going away anytime soon. I know some of you are wondering why I'm celebrating 900 as opposed to 1,000, and the short answer is, I don't know if I'm going to have time to celebrate 1,000. Haven't really had time to get content up on the channel, sorry about that. But I really wanted to do something to mark this occasion, so I decided to make myself a YouTube play button. And I wanted to make it with a little bit of Cly flair. So I went with a material that a lot of you know that I love, and that is chainmail. Specifically, micro chainmail. So here we have my little micro chainmail play button mounted on a, well, I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. How about we jump to the part where I show you how I made it. Jump cut. To get started making a chainmail YouTube play button, the first thing you're going to need are links. I like making my own, so I went down to my local craft store and picked up some red and matte silver enameled copper wire. Now, for the size I'm doing, I'm using 20 gauge wire, and to go with that, I'm using 1/8 of an inch dowels to wind my links. I do suggest avoiding balsa if you use the dowel method as opposed to a welding rod or something, but stick to 1/8 of an inch. To make winding easier, I'm going to be using this power drill that I actually found while dumpster diving. Go me. I have a little bit of wire that I prepared earlier. Let me just pull that over here. And to get started, I like to just take a bit of the wire, stick it into the chuck, and flex it right there at the tip. Makes a good bite point, and then just slowly power it on and let it wind. This is going to take a while, so I'll cut back when I'm done. There we go, 4 coils ready to cut. And to make things go a little bit smoother, I always like to use a rotary tool equipped with a diamond cutting wheel. Gives me a nice saw cut so I can button the links together perfectly. Now earlier I did mention that I like using dowels for my mandrel, and it's simply because I can leave the dowel in the coil to add extra support while using the cutting wheel. The best part is they're super cheap. I got a pack of 22 for about $1.50, and I know if I looked harder I could find them cheaper, but I usually have a 40% off coupon, so I'm doing pretty good. Time for a quick jump cut while I cut these up. I'm back. I've got the links in these nice little handy containers. I've also taken the time to pre-open and close some of the links, not including the new additions to the pattern. This will help me do a form of fake speed weaving. It'll look faster on camera, but if you factor in the time it took to open and close all of these, it's a push. Oh, and fortunately I had these lying around because I want to add a border to the image. Those are thanks to a previous project, as you can see here. And speaking of previous projects, I want the final product to look a little bit like this when it comes to size, so I'll be using this as a reference. Now let's zoom in a little bit, get myself into a nice position for weaving. I want to be comfortable because this will take a while. Oh, and for my tools, I like using a flat-nosed duckbill on my offhand and a bent nose on my dominant hand. Also, no teeth on the pliers, you don't want tool marks. Let's get this started. I am doing a weave called European 4-in-1. Let me go ahead and grab a couple of links. I'm going to start at the center, by the way. That way I can make sure the design's going to look how I want. So, need 1 open link, and let's get 3 red and a silver on the closed links. Also, hopefully I will have enough battery life for this. So you take 1 open link, go ahead and just pinch that in my plier. Oh, picking these things up is always a bother. There we go, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and just bring this up. I may tighten the image a little bit more in a second. There we go. And fold them out. Drop the piece. There we go. And we have begun. Let's go ahead and just help the focus. There we go. European 4-in-1. 4 links in one. Time for a montage, so to speak. I'm going to fast forward it a bit, and I might end up having to come back if my battery decides it wants to die. Here we go. And there we go. I do want to point out that off camera, I cut a couple of vertical rows off of this side because while it was symmetrical numerically, the way the centerpiece is done, it still looked like it was a little bit far on this side and came out a little wonky. I'm also trying a new technique for finishing up my pieces. I went ahead and used some very thin 26 gauge wire that's the same color as my border and stitched it. So it is holding solid very nicely, and it should keep everything nice and rigid for when I go to mount it. Specifically, I'm going to be mounting it on this. It is a black oak finished vinyl flooring tile. It's 4x4, and I picked this up at my local Home Depot for free. They have all kinds of samples out there, so take whatever kind of design you want and run with it. I've gone ahead and drilled several small holes on the edge, which I'm going to use the 26 gauge wire to stitch down my play button. I will be right back when I've done that. Done and done. Now the last thing I have to do is glue a stand on the back, and to make that, I just took another one of these tiles and cut a small piece off at an angle, as you can see. And to affix it, I'm just going to use some super glue. So, go. I've found that super glue actually absorbs into this material quite nicely and doesn't do a shabby job on the back either. Now, I will stress test this a little bit after I've got everything set. See if I need to reinforce it with some resin or something, but I don't think I will. There we go. Not perfectly centered, I don't think. There we go. It's as good as it needs to be. Okay, from this angle it actually looks a bit worse than it does from here. It did stick on almost instantaneously though. There we go. I'm gonna let it dry before going to the last part of this video. See you there. And that is how I made this little chainmail play button. If you're wondering why I didn't go for the large frame with all of the fancy lettering and whatnot, it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I have no access to the ability to make the letters, be it either a vinyl plotter or good stencils. No, seriously, it actually has absolutely nothing to do with that. I wanted something small that I could sit on my desk and maybe sneak into the background of future videos. Also, technically this was not my first idea for the video. I actually wanted to go even smaller with this chainmail pendant, but I don't like how it turned out. I had to go a little heavy on the lacquer because my epoxy went missing when I was making it, so I'm opting against making this the centerpiece of this video. If you would like me to retouch on that in a future video, though, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you are new to my channel and you're interested in weird little DIY projects like that, I do have more coming. And if you like board games, thrifting, dumpster diving, random stuff like that, maybe even cheap tech reviews, I've got a few slotted. All of that's on this channel, or coming to the channel, so subscribe for that kind of content. Until next time, this is your guy, Cly, signing off. Perfect time. I'm going to leave that in there.